What up, what up, what up? Bankroll Tim, batted up. Man, in here on this Landau. Last night I put a lot of work into this side, which, you know, the frame notching, how much welding it takes and how much fitting it takes, and then cut the cutoff wheel, you know, got the cutoff wheel, 6 hands, boom, you got the grinder, boom, I got this all tangled up over here. The plate right there that gets put in there. So, see this gap? So I keep telling everybody, as long as you have a gap, you fill inside that gap. So once you fill all inside that gap and bring it out to the outside, you know, then you can polish it without going through. Now, look at the top piece. See how it's butted together? Now, if I run the bead through here, I'm not gonna be able to clean it up for shit. And if I was to clean it up, it would crack. So, I take the cutoff wheel, it's got the plate all in here. I make this gap bigger. So I take the cutoff wheel, as you can see here. I went with the cutoff wheel, you see the heat ring. I cut, so I have a bigger area to fill, so I can get the weld. The weld is deep inside there. I can't, it's shadowed, but anyways, it's in there enough to where I know, look, that's damn near smooth, you guys. Damn near smooth. So that way when I clean it up, I lightly have to clean it up and shape it. When you're on here, it melts the top of the frame into that area. So, you know, little C's, just hit the trigger, twist, hit the trigger, twist, hit the trigger, twist. Because sometimes when you're trying to fill a gap, you get too hot and it rolls out, balls out, you know, hits the ground, splats. This area right here, because the back part, you know, is out here more, boom. So when I fill all this in, I'm gonna probably cut the same thing, cut this plate up some more so I get this whole area. Then when I fill it in, it'd be big, ugly, and boogery because it's all filled in. But then once I shape it, I know the depth I'm deep in there. So when I clean up the outside, you know, this down here, boom, I'm gonna be filling all this shit in. That way, when I go to clean it all up, it's gonna shape how I want it to shape, and I'll have a lot in there. You could put like some fill in there. You could lay a piece of metal back a little farther, but I know how to take the angle of the tip, put it in there, and as you're welding, you're going to the back, deep inside the weld, and filling as you go. So that way, when you clean it up, you just gotta clean it up a little bit. You know, lowrider guys out there, when they're doing frames and plating frames and all that, they fill in gaps and then they shape it when they're reinforcing the frames. So these holes, again, these will be completely filled in. This one, this one, this one, this little diamond shaped thing, this one back here. You can see it, boom, this is all filled, but there was a gap here, but not a gap here. So I gotta take and cut this with the cutoff wheel and cut me a nice sized gap in there so I can fill it, fill it, fill it, fill it. The more weld, the stronger. You're not gonna have it crack. Again, with these G bodies out there, you got a certain motherfucker lying about pricing and what was charged and this and that. And again, I didn't have nothing to do with that black LSMC. The only thing I did on it was try to adjust the alignment on the front, and like I said, he didn't want to go buy the new steering components. He just wanted to ride. Then he said he was just going to go park it, blah, blah, and didn't. Anyways, boom. So all this area right here, like I've been explaining, see how thin that is? People are like, oh my God, that's so thin. But it's all tied together. So this is working as a whole frame rail, the outside, the inside, it's all tied together. So when you have the torque on here, because these arms, lower arms, push up, then it flexes the frame rail in this way. When it flexes the frame rail in this way, it'll break shit. And then if you only put the two pieces of metal exactly together and you lightly go over it, and then you put a little grind to it, yeah, it's weak. So that way of welding makes it weak, and not having your shit braced up makes it weak. Yeah, you know, the business. A lot of other things. A lot of other accusations and this and that, blah, blah. Which, whatever. Who gives a fuck? Bankroll Tim, bedded up in here. Bussing on this bitch. The parts for this are going to be getting dropped off tomorrow. I mean, Chris, Streetcar Headquarters, he's been trying to get out here. And, you know, he's a busy man, too. And I totally understand it. But the coilovers, the control arms, the anti-roll, the majority of the parts for the back, you know. I hate when people, well, not him, the other shit that's going on, when they just want to make up prices that was charged, but they don't want to explain. Springs were bought out of that money. I can't even think. Springs, bushings, shit that was needed in order to get the job done. Brake lines, fittings, bleeding the shit, the adapters, just a whole bunch of shit. I know there's another majority. Oh, the drive shaft. The drive shaft was fucking expensive as fuck because it went from the car went from a 7.5 to a 8.5 inch rear end, which the 8.5's got a longer pinion. So you gotta shorten the drive shaft. So the drive shaft guy, the U joints, because it was original drive shaft, old shit. So I'm supposed to pay for the drive shaft out of like it's supposed to come out of my part? No. Waiting for parts for days and weeks, and then they show up when they were supposed to be here next day? Like, what the fuck? You know, you want to talk about people wasting time. It's like, whatever. Anyways, Bonneville, up here, the front suspension is totally tore out now. The uppers are out of there. Of course, we don't take the calipers off until we're ready. Normally I take a set of vice grips and crimp the line right there a little bit, then I can cut the thing off. This is scrap to me, garbage. So that way you're not leaking brake fluid all over the place, which a lot of the places, you watch them when they're putting the brakes on, they do the same thing. They let the caliper hang, and they get the new brake set up on there, and then they cut the hose or take it apart and put the adapter in there and all that shit. So this one is rolling. The Landau is rolling. I'm gonna try to get this frame rail totally done. It takes hours to do that because I gotta fill it, I gotta cut it, I gotta fill it, I gotta grind it, I gotta go back over it, fill some spots that might have been boogered up because the inside of the frame rail has got undercoating, you know, from the factory and debris and all that shit. So when it starts to bubble up and shit like that, so sometimes a weld might not be deep enough, and then you gotta clean it. You gotta put a little more weld on there and grind it up, blah blah, like that, blah blah. What type of work you do? Oh, blah blah. But yes, the Bonneville. You can see how bad the tires were running before. They had 1/4 inch spacers, which are laying on that box on here. So originally they over narrowed it, which, you know, it's narrow, but I'm just getting the brakes and shit off of there, opening up the rear end to get the backing plates, the axles out, backing plates out, this and that. Get these springs out of here, get these shocks out of here. And like I said, people do this. It's like you cut the e-brake stuff off, which is fine, but then you just let this shit hang underneath their cars. So originally I thought this was a G-body rear end that they had switched out and put in here, but no, this one actually is a box Chevy rear end. But yeah, like this. What am I supposed to do? Like, I put it back together and I put this nasty ass rusty fucking line back on there. If it was to come off, no. You put new lines on. You put the little fitting in the back of the caliper. This car, the frame is notched, so it doesn't need the end to be clocked because they notched it, but boom. And then look, body bushing. Got somebody else out there talking shit, fly whips about his blue Cutlass, saying this and saying that, and kids practicing on his car and blah blah blah. The man had his car for like, I don't know, 3-4 months, and then he calls me and talking about there was a wrinkle in the quarter panel, and he don't understand how it got there and this and that. And I asked him, well, have you had the car towed? He's like, yeah, I've had it towed. I'm like, okay, well, maybe the tow truck guy hooked the frame and pulled it down and, you know, buckled it a little bit. And he's like, okay, that might have happened. Boom. Didn't know this whole time dude had a fucking attitude. I mean, he could fuck off for all I care now, but look at this. This is a frame notch, right? And then look at, why is this bent? That shouldn't be bent down like that. You know why this is bent down and broke right here? Because a tow truck hooked it and over tightened it. Box Chevys, Bonnevilles, this, that. It's very, very hard to wrinkle these quarter panels. Those are obviously dents. You see that? Those are dents. Ding, 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 ding. Dents, whatever. That's not a wrinkle. That's not a bend. That's not a tweak, nothing. Box Chevys and these things, full-size cars, are very, very hard to do that. The only time you're going to see a wrinkle in a quarter panel is if something is not traveling right and hitting and banging, banging, banging. Something's got to give. So as you can see, these body mounts are shit. So then if the body is bouncing this little bit on the frame, it's going to cause, right in that area, to show a wrinkle. Or, which we've seen before, again, the toe guys, look at this hook. This is bent backwards because they hooked it backwards, you know, whatever, and bent it down. I'm not saying every tow truck guy is a dumbass, but I mean, there's these guys out there that work for companies that they have a driver's license. Doesn't mean that they know how to fucking put a car on a goddamn flatbed, you know, and over tighten it. I mean, just a little snug. The car's in park. Even if the car didn't have a motor in it, it's in neutral. You just a nice little snug on it. You don't flex the fucker down to where the tires touch inside the wheel wells and make it a lowrider on a fucking truck. Anyways, so frame tails getting pulled down will bend and buckle quarters on any car, especially if the car has framework. And again, with frame notching and stuff like that, this is a step notch, which is horrible. It's old. I mean, look, guys, look. What am I seeing right here? That might be just undercoating, flaking off, but even to have the cracked line in it, something's flexing. Something's flexing. But that could be flexed when the tow hook's getting put on there, whatever. Anyways, trying to get this Bonneville buttoned up. My kid, he's working so hard over there. Jaden. Grab those shocks, move the stuff around, grab those shocks, put the C-clips and shit in them, put the springs on them, put the bearing plates on them. But yeah, so this stuff's all blown. We can start cleaning this up. My main focus is I'm trying to get this frame rail done on this side. I didn't fully paint here because there's a couple little spots I want to fix, you know, or put a little more on, grind it off. But like I was saying, you guys can see that's pretty thick right there, and it's ground, and the car is braced. But I didn't want to paint this either because when I do the tubs, and I'm going to be moving the tub in and out to fit it in and out, it's going to probably most likely scratch this, and I'll just wait to the end to paint this and paint the inside of the tub at the same time. A lot of this stuff, if you guys just sit back, take your time. Not saying take as much time as I've taken, because I got a lot of fucking other shit going on and bullshit to deal with, which I know everybody keeps telling me, just leave that shit alone, I know, I've said it before. You guys have said it before. I'm trying. I just hate when motherfuckers gotta lie and bullshit and then get all these other lanes to lie and co-sign for them, and basically that's riding nuts, you know what I'm saying? Like I said before. But they be watching. The haters, they be watching too. And then all this type of shit, again, where did all these other shops learn all this shit from all these years? Now, don't get me wrong, somebody could figure it out themselves, you know, with having having common sense. But I've been doing this shit for years. Some of the biggest cars from years ago in Chicago that were built by Bedded Up Customs. Some of the fucking cars that were built by somebody else. I mean, I've laid out platform after platform, pictures after pictures of all this shit. And I've learned a ton of shit as I've gone. Look at me from years ago to now. There's a big fucking difference. I'm one man in the shop. One man. You know, a lot of these haters and this and that, they're confusing me and my brother. And, you know, with whatever. There's two different shops. There's two different people. We're brothers. We look a little bit alike, but he's bigger than me. This and that, whatever. People get shit so fucking twisted because nobody wants to do the research nowadays. They just want to fucking go off of what some fucking lame says. It's fucking unreal, man. But all right, y'all. I'm not gonna. I've been listening to you guys. I'm not gonna let it disturb my energy. Let me, you know, stay focused on this shit. I just wanted to get another video for you guys. You know, I don't make a lot of money off of YouTube. Make a couple dollars here and there. And a couple dollars, you know, for shooting a video, it helps. It helps out a lot. You know, for a one-man shop, or should I say 1 1/4, 1 1/8? What do you guys think? He looks like he's confused over there.
What?
Are you confused over there?
Huh?
Are you confused over there?
No.
Jaden Lee, are you confused?
No.
I think you're confused. I think he rides the bike too much, y'all. That's what I think. I think he's way over his hours on the bike. Not as in the motor, as in the hours of ride time.
You know you get fucked.
I'm just poking. Oh, I'll get fucked up?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know that.
All right, guys. But yes, appreciate y'all. Bankroll Tim, set it up. Stay tuned because this thing and this thing will be rolling. And then this thing, this 73 right here with, you know, them 26s that are up here. Boom. Shit gets dirty around here, so just dirt from sitting up there. 7-inch lip, 26s. It's a nice looking wheel. It's gonna look good on that car too. But alright, y'all, Bankroll Tim, got it up. I know I said it 50 times, and people say I must like to hear myself talk. Sometimes I do. Choppers. Getting it fitted all up underneath here so it can sit as far in as possible, so I can get it down as lower as possible. And if worst comes to worst, what I'm gonna do is another trick for you guys to learn is how this tub curves up like this on the outside of the body. There's a little bit, like probably a ½ inch or so right there, but you go through and you trim like this out, this way, and then, you know, separate the bead here. Then you take a piece of tin, like for the tub material, and you lay it up in here, and you're gonna go straight to the body, but you're not gonna touch the body. You want it to come back. To make that template, you would make it out of cardboard. I might have to do it, I might not, because I got this thing very, very far in, and the tub, of course, is gonna sit up in here, just a little bit farther in, maybe like a ½ inch and more, or exactly right with it. This is plumb, and this is pretty damn straight, front to back. But little things, if I end up doing it, I'll show you. If I don't end up doing it, I'll show you. But Batted Up Customs, Bankroll Tim. Look at that. I did a little bit of painting on it. I could probably put a little bit more. The light throws everything off, especially that bright ass light right there on the floor. But I mean, it's still pretty clean. Not as clean as those other places are doing for right now, because they just started doing that, and I'm gonna find out what that is and maybe start doing that. But my floor is nothing but metal everywhere. Sweeping it, this and that, everything, metal shavings, from all the grinding and stuff like that, because I do custom fabrication. So to have water, you know, I got a drain right here, so if the front bay, you know, to do the car, I could probably do it here. You know, use that acid bath stuff, whatever it is, to clean all the underneath. And then, you know, the drain, it will run to the drain. But to use like that electric power washer, keep it close. I mean, something I'm thinking about. But main thing is just being focused on getting down to one car at a time, like that Monte Carlo. Got dropped off the other week. That I'd have been able, with all the parts, boom, 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 everything. To have it to where the car gets dropped off and put it right on the lift and just tear it apart the first day. Man, I'd be so happy, because I'd be worried about one car, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars. And I never even wanted to be this far behind. But I mean, only behind on these two, and this one's very close to being getting done. So, appreciate y'all. Bankroll Tim, Batted Up. I'm out. I know I'm just rambling. Audi. Peace.